Good morning. We'll call to order the Tuesday, January 26th Board of Supervisors meeting. Please, if you are able, please stand and join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Due to the ongoing pandemic and the in-person meetings being impossible or impractical due to limiting the number of individuals together per code section 21.8.1, we are providing public access via Zoom. Before we adopt the agenda, I do want to make or ask for a motion to adopt the agenda. I do want to make note that item 15.1, so under additional items, 15.1 is being pulled for today. So with that, I'm wondering if there is an approval of the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Faisal, second by Merkin. Faisal?
Aye.
Merkin?
Aye.
Aye. Agenda approved. Updates on COVID. Staff, is there any updates that we should be aware of? No updates at this time. I do not have any updates. Do either of my colleagues have any updates as well? None today? Okay. Then we'll move on to public comment number 1. This comment period is for the public to address topics on today's agenda. Because we are in webinar mode, if you'd like to make public comment, please raise your hand on the Zoom function. Like to make public comment? I'll wait a few seconds to see if anyone is doing that, or you can push *9 if you're on by phone. Not seeing anyone wanting to make public comment. We'll close the first public comment period. Discussion and consideration of items brought before the board with request for immediate action. I don't believe there is any at this time. So we'll move on to the AEDC Outreach and Workforce Quarterly Update. And that looks like, is Brenda on the line?
I am on the line.
Morning.
I'll walk.
Just a minute, Brenda, we can't hear you.
We've presented. Oh, I've got the opportunity to, there I am. Good to see you all. I'd welcome the opportunity to answer any questions you would have. I do want to talk a little bit about the unemployment statistics for December. They actually arrived this morning, and so I'd like to give you the most current information that we have. So I highlighted the November numbers in the report that I submitted last week. Actually, we ended 2020 with 2.1% unemployment. So up a bit, over 2% in November. Not unusual, because if you look back at December of 2019, we also were actually at 2.1%. What I'd like to highlight, though, is I actually saw the breakdown by sector. And I'm very grateful that we had some sectors of our economy that actually added jobs in 2020. Worth noting is that the service producing sector last year dropped 1,100 jobs. And those are people often that are struggling anyway to make ends meet, and considering those are a lot of jobs out of our economy. And some of those, I think we have to be honest, we may not get back. And so I think it kind of validates really our focus on retraining and the investment we're making with partners to retrain workforce. So certainly it's hard to see that number in black and white, but we know that we have people struggling across the county. So That's kind of some new information that's not included as part of my presentation. I also want to make sure that you take a note at the last slide that is part of the workforce report. We had 26 people actually end up graduating for the project that we worked with DMAC and United Way on. One of those folks was a resident of one of the bridge homes, so without a home. This is a statement from Jody about how that training has now impacted that person. So we wouldn't be able to support doing initiatives like this without the generous support of our sponsors, and specifically the county and Mary Greeley and the city of Ames, which are such strong supporters. So again, I'm energized more than ever. We need to do more of that training. But it's, despite 2020 being challenging, I think we can look at the things happening on the workforce side of it and feel pretty good about stuff. Also, I'm thrilled that we have a good job board because it's given a spot for our employers and our job seekers to be able to go and try to connect for work. So we're already at 18,000 searches on Work in Ames. That's about 750 a day. That's a lot of people looking for work. And so thank you for your continued investment in supporting a countywide workforce effort, and we'll continue to keep you posted. If something urgent comes up, we won't wait for a quarterly presentation, but again, if you have any questions, I'm available now, or you can always reach out to me afterwards.
Supervisors, do you have any questions?
Brenda, I just want to thank you for the bar graph where you're showing the demographics of the people that you served in this program. And it really shows me that you're targeting the groups of people who need this the most. We've talked a lot about the justice system and the need to keep people out of prison by giving them good job skills and getting them into good jobs, and just seeing that persons of color, women, and just the whole thing. You did a great job of targeting here, and I appreciate your efforts on this program.
No, it's been a very worthwhile effort. Again, I need to acknowledge our very strong partnership for the Center of Creative Justice. They were with us from the beginning, and again, outstanding staff at the United Way. And so it's, I know when you think about 28 people starting, 26 graduating, which is better than DMAC normally experiences. Again, we have an opportunity to pursue some additional funding. We're working through the steps to try to be able to get that in, but thank you for noticing. We're excited about those results as well.
Brenda, I do have a couple questions with this. My first question is, how long was the training for this project? And I'm assuming that might be different depending on which kind of discipline they went into, whether it was welding or CNA or whatnot. So that's my first question. And then of the 26 graduates, you say participants accepting jobs. So are all of them, been offered a job, or are they still looking? I'm just wanting some clarification on that comment there.
Okay, so first and foremost, the training certificate programs, we hadn't had the opportunity to do the manufacturing one before, so it was great to be able to use that. We developed that in partnership quite some time ago with our manufacturers, but these folks went to class almost 4 days a week in order to be able to get it compacted in a pretty short order. So we, for the most part, started the first part of November and wrapped up the middle of December. There were days that they had to get to class, during snowstorms. We worked with HERDA. It was a really unique partnership, but again, condensed and very much a commitment to being available to attend the training. So it wasn't shorter than any other class, just very compacted in a 6-week period. So not degreed, they are certificate programs. And the second question relates to work in obtaining and getting job offers. So we know that almost half of the CNA candidates have already taken work. That's pretty amazing considering they just took their test. And some of our employers will require that actual certification before they're hired. So we feel really good about the ability to get the CNA candidates. Between manufacturing and welding, it's just trying to find the right spot. So the good news is they're getting interviews. So most of them would tell you they've applied in manufacturing before and never got an interview because they don't have experience or training. So it's just a matter of trying to find the right shift. Some of them have been offered second shift, and we know second shift childcare is a problem across Story County. So then, they're trying to find first shift, or we actually have some folks, because of childcare or other things, want part-time. So we've been having to work to try to identify part-time manufacturing opportunities. One of my favorite stories is a woman who went through manufacturing, was adamant about a part-time opportunity. We were able to actually pair her with Paragon over in Nevada, a little manufacturing firm we don't think about very much, but they manufacture fun. So popcorn machines, snow cone makers, and so a perfect match. So again, not a very big workforce, needed a part-time manufacturing person, so they were able to hire one of our students. So it's really been trying to find that win-win between the employer as well as what the person needs. So we're plunking away with them to get them all hired, but we probably have maybe a third of them almost employed. So we're excited so far. It doesn't happen as quick as we want, but we're getting there.
I have
Great,
one more question.
Yes.
The Roland Bank building pictures. Can you
Oh,
provide?
hey, this sounds like a Nick conversation. Any other workforce questions for me?
I don't have any questions, Brenda, but I just wanted to echo everyone else and say what a fantastic program I think this is. And I was on that SCAN meeting the other day and got to hear two of the people who went through the program speak and the positive impact that it's had on both of their lives. And it's just fantastic. And I hope that we can keep this going, and because it's impacting not just their lives, but their children's lives and our community. And it's just this huge ripple. And I'm so grateful for the work that you guys are doing. And I'm looking forward to seeing more of it and finding out what more we can do.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing stuff. So again, thank you for your support. I guess I'm done, Nick. You're up.
My turn? All right. Well, I have to apologize first and foremost for my hat hair because I've been out there since 4:30. Who would have thought if you buy a house that faces the south that you would have 6-foot drips? And my little single stage snowblower doesn't like that. So I've been out there and I'm still at home. So if you hear a puppy yapping, I apologize about that too. Just going through the slides, and I'll get to the bank building here towards the end. But for the Story County outreach, you notice my one slide's predominantly housing. In these rural communities, it's a real challenge. From where I came from, and I sit on the Empower Rural Iowa Task Force. Story County is not unique, and their smaller communities struggle to get housing. In fact, they might be a little bit more unique because some of them are actually doing pretty well. But with the housing needs assessment wrapped up, it's a long document. But one thing I wanted to pull out of there was just some of the housing units that need to be built just to sustain the current growth rate that they're at. So not trying to take it up a notch, but just trying to sustain where they're at. By 2030, Nevada's got to pull on 232, Huxley 452, Story City 113, Slater 83, Gilbert 88, Roland 36. So that's a lot of housing in Story County in 10 years. And we're not even including Ames in this discussion. But it's a challenge. A lot of these communities, they don't have that taxable value to be able to loan against. And if they do, they need to be doing wastewater improvements, water improvements, things that have aged that they can't, incentivize a developer by installing that infrastructure. They might be able to be a partner in it, But with the cost of construction, lot prices go up. And to be desirable, you got to, in these rural communities, you got to try and keep those prices down. With that being said, Huxley is in talks with an age-in-place developer. It would be potentially just to the in between the 3 Cs in the downtown where the bus barn is. They're still in discussions on that. You got to figure out, where the bus barn would go and things like that. Maxwell has a developer that wants to do the subdivision, and the city wants to participate with them. They just got to figure out how to fill the gap. There's about a $1.25 million gap on 30 lots with option of 60 more. Colo still working on that one. In fact, I believe we're going to be talking about it at the next council meeting on that subdivision and how the city might be able to participate to get that one going. With that being said, housing, one thing that I was a part of was Homes for Iowa. I'm not sure if you've all heard of it, but it's a fantastic program. Jefferson received the first 2 houses off the showroom floor. Region 12 Council of Governments helped the city get those. The city provided the lots free of charge, and then incentivized it with some neighborhood stabilization program funds, neighborhood improvement incentive program funds. But these homes come off showroom floor, shipped, 1,200 square foot, 3 bedrooms. They arrive on site for $75,000. Single family homes, getting them on site for that amount, it just doesn't happen. But the other caveat that I absolutely love about this is they've been doing this in South Dakota for several years, and what they've found is they've cut recidivism rate by 30%. They are getting the exact same training there that you would at DMAC if you were taking construction. Therefore, it is a benefit all the way around. I am extremely hyped about this. I want all of these in Story County. They are 2x6 construction. They are such high quality as far as energy efficiency that they have to have an air handling unit built inside because there just isn't air exchange in the home. They're built that tight. The quality is very good. Now, one thing you will notice in that picture is, yes, you can tell it's a modular home. If you don't want it to look like a modular home, then that's where we have to spend more. But these are very good homes. At the same time, they built this home and set 2 of them in Jefferson. Region 12 did 2 stick builds with a contractor. All 4 of these homes were the same price. The Homes for Iowa homes were sold first. The others had some character to them, but these homes, ranch style home, and it's very desirable. And you'll see that ranch style homes do fly off the market. Now, these do have to go to low to moderate income families, and I do like that. Getting people in a home that normally wouldn't be able to. Just kind of moving on down my list there, we're going to be participating. We got emails with the broadband study that's going to be coming up. Linda's going to be chairing that up along with Amelia Schoeneman. Is that correct pronunciation? Good. Story City's working with another business in their I-35 business park. I mean, that place, Story City's getting a lot of activity. First phase, 72,000 square feet with option of another 72,000 square feet. We're going to be working with the city for a RISE grant on that if it comes to fruition. Slater, speaking of daycare from earlier, has a in-home daycare that's looking to do brick and mortar brand new build. So working with that individual along with Small Business Development Center, Governor Reynolds through her Future Ready Iowa this year just released funding to help get new daycares established. And it's a tight window. You got from February 1st to February 30th to apply for it. But I think we'll be able to get it done. The tricky part is it is on a fiscal year spending. So the project have to be complete by technically June 1 because of bill submittals. But that one I'm very hopeful for. And if not, after July 1, we just go ahead and try and apply again because I think it'll get rolled out again. Ziering's downtown business interest surveys completed. You know, nothing surprising there. Everybody wants kind of that catch-all 5 and dime where you get your odds and ends, full service restaurant and a hardware store where we're all the top. Now it's just whether or not are those sustainable. Is there somebody elsewhere that would like to maybe locate in those areas? And then we get to the Roland Bank building. Roland Area Development Commission worked with them, and they hired Hala Architecture to do a building analysis of this. I've worked around these buildings a lot. I'm not an architect or an engineer. I knew this was going to be a very expensive project. The figures came in at about $893,000 to get it to where a business could move back in there. Roland, the community of that size, and our Aedc, that's not affordable. I did factor in a challenge grant through Iowa Economic Development Authority, Iowa Brownfields to help with the asbestos abatement, derelict building program, which is another $50,000, and state and federal historic tax credits. That got the price down to about $380,000 that you would have to take a loan out on that. And on a 25-year note at 5.5% interest, you would have to charge about $1,700 a month rent to be able to get it to cash flow. And in Roland, Iowa, I don't know that they'd be able to get a rent structure like that. It'd have to be a half or a third. So right now the city and our Aedc are kind of in discussions on what's next step, and I'm going to be helping them with those steps. Any questions?
You said with the grant, possible grant funding, it was 380,000. Was that right?
That's right, and that's assuming. Oh, I forgot to mention, that's taking into consideration the Story County facade grant at $10,000 at 20%. I factored that in. So I have a lot of layers in there, and a lot of those are grants at the state level, which are highly competitive. So you're not assured, even if you decide to tackle this project, you're not assured to get the Catalyst grant at $100,000. You're not assured to get this money. So that's why I have to say kudos to Roland Area Development Commission for spending the money to hire this architect for the analysis, because it was about $2,500, but it just saved them close to $900,000. Now, I've never had to tear one down. I'm not one to give up on buildings. That's our history downtown there. That's where our character is. But on this one instance, unless there's a huge donor out there that wants to throw quite a bit of money at it, I don't know that we have a project. But that this is just kind of a prime example to teach, hey, this is why we got to get in front of these problems before they happen.
Yeah, it's too bad.
It is, because it's a corner building and it can move right on down the line. So.
And what did the derecho do to this building?
Nothing. The roof had already been collapsed before that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So essentially where it collapsed there, it had a center drain that would have had a drain that came down in the middle of the building and then tapped into the storm sewer. And that's always where the roofs go bad. It's either at the back where all the water is flowing or around that drain area.
Okay.
When it collapsed, it landed on the first floor and it was okay for some time. But then the first floor collapsed. And when that roof collapsed and did this number, it pulled on that south wall and started to pull it into the building. So that whole south wall has to be taken down and rebuilt. That's a lot of square footage, a lot of expense.
So that's the roof, the first floor, the flooring, and one wall. It's just all gone.
Essentially, by the time you're done rebuilding this building, you might have the foundation and the concrete floor and the vault, because it used to be a bank, so it's got a really cool vault on the inside. But that, and partial first floor, because not the whole first floor collapsed.
Okay.
But even at that, no bank is going, it's not going to value even at the, let's say it's 400,000 for a loan. The value is not going to be there. You know, it's probably not going to appraise at that because that's a 120-year-old building still, even after you rebuild it.
Mhm.
They're tricky, and that's why you see a lot of them tore down and a lot of them not built back. But one thing I did want to rewind on is on the housing. I know we're in, you're going to be in budget discussions, and I would just like your consideration that some of these communities could really use the county's help, if at all possible, to make some of these projects happen. I know with Maxwell, they have like 1.5 million left on their debt service. And there's a $1.25 million gap for 30 lots. They can't, I would not advise them to use that remaining 1.5 because the DNR at any point might say we have to upgrade wastewater to this point, or you have to replace your water lines in this area of town because it's contaminated. They have to have that cushion just in case for emergency. Not saying it can't happen. It just means those lot prices will be a lot higher, which means a developer is going to say, I get lot prices like that in Ankeny and I can sell them. I don't know that I can do that in Maxwell. I don't know that I can do that in Gilbert. So just in your discussions, if you would take housing in the smaller communities in mind, I would appreciate it.
But I can tell you that was part of our conversation. Absolutely.
Very good. I feel like I took a lot of time, but I don't get to talk to you all that much, even though I'm on all the meetings. But again, like Brenda said, if there's ever any questions or if you hear of something that might be a benefit to some of our communities, you have my email and you have my cell, please let me know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate the update.
You're very welcome.
Thank you very much. Okay, we'll move on to agency reports. We have none. Consideration of minutes. We just have 3 minutes to consider today. There's all, excuse me, all three December 15th, the 22nd, and 29th. Looking for a motion to approve the minutes.
I would move to approve the minutes of December 15th, 22nd, and 29th meetings.
I will second that motion. Merkin,
Aye.
Edens, aye. And will we have Faisal abstain from this since she was not part of our December meeting? Yes, that is what she's wanting to do, to abstain. Next is consideration of personnel actions. Do we have a motion to approve the personnel actions as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Faisal, second by Merkin. Faisal?
Aye.
Merkin?
Aye.
Evans, aye. Now we move on to the consent agenda. Is anyone pulling anything from the consent agenda today? No, nothing's being pulled. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Merkin?
Aye.
Hazel?
Aye.
Evans, aye. Motion approved. Looks like we are on 14, public hearing items number 2. This is a time for the public to make comments on items not on the agenda.
Wait, you forgot email.
What?
No, we have no public hearing items.
14. That's the bottom of page
Yeah.
3.
Public forums number 19.
Yeah, public forums number 19 I'm on, and I haven't done additional items, which we don't have.
Department reports.
Right. No, we're not to department reports. This is where I'm looking at.
Yeah, there's no public hearings.
Oh, public hearings. Yes. Sorry, I was thinking public forum. So sorry.
That's fine.
Sorry. Okay. No public hearing items. We've pulled the additional item today. So we're here for Department reports number 16, animal controls quarterly report. Anna, we've gotten your report. Do you want to highlight some areas on your report?
Sure. So some highlights, we had 64 adoptions last quarter, and we had 29 transfers. The Ames Animal Shelter has been helping us reduce our cat numbers, which we're very thankful for. It gives us more time to actually socialize the animals and find them more homes. I've also started including more detail on our animal control calls. As you can see, we had 38 calls during business hours, and we had 14 calls that were after hours and weekends. We can now have people fill out adoption applications through the county website, which is really helpful, especially with our doors being shut right now. And that's about it for highlights. Did you have any questions?
I do not. Supervisor Basil or Merkin, do you have questions? No. Thank you very much for your report, Anna, and for all that you've been able to do for the animals in Story County. You commented a couple times that you've been before us, the good collaboration that you have with Ames, and I think that's been great for both places.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll continue going on. We have no other reports. Anything for upcoming agenda items? It doesn't look like anyone has anything. Now we'll go on to public forum number 2. Sorry about that from earlier. This is a time for comments from the public on items not on this agenda. The board may not take any action due to the comments due to the requirements of open meeting law, but they may do so in the future. If you'd like to make public comment, please use the raise your hand function on Zoom or hit *6 to raise your hand. And I am not seeing anything, so I will close public comment, public forum number 2. On to liaison assignments, committee meeting updates, and announcements from the supervisors. Supervisor Basil, would you like to start?
Sure. Let's see. We've got Ames Conference Board this evening. I have a meeting with NAP-TEDesco just to review the county's insurance information, just a little overview since I'm new. CCMT tomorrow. I have a CCJ board meeting tomorrow night. Got the State of the Community on Thursday, statewide supervisors meeting. I have a meeting with Ames Chamber on Thursday afternoon after all the other meetings, just to go over the relationship with the county, kind of giving me an update and going over everything with me, which is really nice of them to take the time to do that. And then CFR meeting Thursday night. That's about it for me.
Thank you. Supervisor Merkin?
In addition to several of the meetings that Supervisor Faisal just mentioned, we do have our first meeting on the regional broadband project this Friday. And as Nick pointed out, he and Amelia, and I think Leanne will be on that. So we're looking forward to getting that off the ground. Also, I think jurisdictional executives meet Thursday evening. And I have a Prairie Rivers Board meeting just before that. I did want to mention just a couple things that have come our way. One is I did attend the League of Women Voters legislative forum last Saturday, and I spoke about some legislation that I've seen that's coming up, that Home Builders evidently is proposing a bill on stormwater ordinances not to allow local jurisdictions to have stronger stormwater ordinances than the state. And a couple, I think Senator Cornbach and Representative Wessel Chriselle said if that comes up, and I don't have the bill number on it yet, but that they would they would oppose that legislation because they are not in favor of the local preemptions that have become common in the legislature. Did have an interesting discussion with new Senator Jesse Green, who represents the northwest corner of Stewart County. He's very interested in what we can do with farmers and water quality initiatives. And I said we should get together and talk about that some more. I did also contact Aedc. They said they will be opposing this legislation and will get me a bill number when it is introduced. The other thing that happened on the legislative front is I emailed our legislators about the issues of the vaccine and the 1B tier and the fact that wastewater treatment and water treatment specialists, particularly in our smaller communities, are not going to be in the 1B tier as essential workers, because that was something our small town mayors were concerned about. Representative Bacon picked up on that, and he has sent a letter to the Iowa Department of Public Health requesting that those people be included in 1B tier. So hopefully we'll get some attention to that issue, because I know it is a real concern, the mayors of small communities. And Representative Bacon was very aware of why that would be an issue. So also working on the RFP for the watershed assessment for the headwaters of the South Skunk watershed, for that new WMA that's developed, and that will be a continuing workload, I think, for the next few months to get everything together for that WMA and our assessment there. That's all I have.
Okay, great, thank you. So I too have a number of the same meetings, such as the conference board and the jurisdictional meeting and CCMT. I have tomorrow evening as well the EMS training advisory group that I'm on. So we have that meeting tomorrow night. Thursday I have HERDA and also CICS. We do have the statewide supervisors meeting, and I thought I just received an email showing it that it was in the afternoon. I thought it was going to be just in the morning, but I haven't seen it. Just kind of popped on through on my email, so I'll have to relook at what that is for sure. So that may be a little bit of a challenge for me, as well as the state of the community on Thursday. So we are certainly all very, very busy at this particular time. Any other announcements?
I just don't know how we do all these meetings if it wasn't for Zoom.
Right.
Some of them are just back to back anymore.
That's right. That's right. So,
Yeah,
Thanks again to IT.
Yeah, I'm looking at that email. It looks like the statewide supervisors meeting is at 1.
Thank you for checking. I thought I just saw it come on through. So I will try to join in on that, because I do have the CICS governing board meeting at the same time. So you all might have to update me a little bit on the portions of that statewide supervisors meeting. With that, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded to adjourn. Merkin,
Aye.
Basil,
Aye.
and aye. We are adjourned. Stay safe, stay warm. Don't get too stressed out shoveling today.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.